Hi, Julia Watts here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today, as the title suggests, we're going to be looking at the Rose Garden Creative Pack from Sentimentally Yours. This is one of the new creative packs that were recently released by Phil. The other ones being the Tropical Paradise and the Harmony Blue, I think it's called. So yeah, there's three of them, and there are extensive videos, in-depth videos on my YouTube channel that go through all three of the individual paper packs in depth, so you can actually see all the pages. So I'm not going to do that this time. But just to recap, this is the Rose Garden, and this has a very romantic love kind of theme to it. And in each pack you'll get 7 topper sheets and 5 background sheets, and there's 2 repeats of each one, and they're single-sided, and they are a 250 GSM. And in this particular Rose Garden there are 176 elements. So the elements being, obviously you've got 5 background papers, so that's 10 elements with the 2 sheets, but then you've got all these individual topper sheets, so once you've cut them all out then there are 176 elements, plus this design that's on the front sheet, which is, this is the same quality paper as the other pages, or card as the other pages, and so that's like an addition on top, so really you've got 177. And they are acid and lignin free, so you can use them in your journals and your scrapbooks too. So what I did with mine was I actually took 1 sheet out of each design, and that's what I've used to cut up, so I've still got lovely sheets that I can use whenever I feel the need. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken one of the toppers from the kit. I've taken this one, which is a really nice, good size topper actually. This is measures just over 6.5 inches square in old money, because I don't do new money. But what I've done to make it a little bit interesting and to change it, because you absolutely can, I've taken one of the debossed double stitch squares, and I've cut out the section there. You can see that if I'd have cut a next size square, I would have been inside this border. So I've taken that one. So you could, if you wanted to, just you could raise that up in the middle if you wanted to set it back down again, or you could raise your frame up around it, and that gives a bit of depth. Obviously you're using the same pieces, you can absolutely do that, but I thought we'd use that on something else, and there's a number of things that we can do. So to begin with, what I've done is I've embossed a piece of pure white card with the classic flourish embossing folder. I have got a dirty mark here, but I'm going to cover that up with some flowers, so I'm not going to stress too much about that. So we can put our frame around that, and then we could do various different things in there. So within the kit we could actually use this topper and pop that in, and that would give you a different look. And then you could pop a sentiment on there, some flowers, job's a good one, you're done. Or we've also got this kind of, this banner here, so we could pop that across the top, and then obviously straight, and do, you know, flowers and things around it as well. So that's another different look that you can get. You could also decide that you're not going to actually use that embossed piece, so pretend that's not there, and you can use one of the other square toppers with some script behind it and just pop that on there. That's going to give you a different look. Obviously you've just got a little bit of the frame peeking out either side, but we're not going to do that. I mean, there's a number of other things you can do, obviously. What I've gone for, let's put those to one side, is I've gone for one of the other square toppers, which I've actually just cut out with my guillotine, and that's going to sit in the middle there. So we've got a little bit of the classic flourish border going on. I've also got one of these borders, because there's lots of borders that you can choose, and we can obviously put that on top, or we can go for it below. So I think we might go for it below, and that covers up the border that's there at the moment. Obviously it's completely optional. You don't have to do that. What I've also got is, this is left over, and this has been matted and laid onto some Olive Grove card. This is left over from when I made another card for another video. I made this one, and we've got, tucked under here, we've got a little bit of the border. You can barely see it, but we've got a little bit of that border. So this is left over. And in fact, if we wanted to, we have actually got enough to put that either side if we wanted to. So there's lots of options. Don't throw away any kind of bits that you've got left over. I think I am going to go for the music because I like that. And we're also going to add in one of the circle toppers. So this is has been cut out using the stitch torn circles. You can see a little bit of the surround that's left there, but that kind of matches this colour here, so that's absolutely fine. And that's going to go in the centre. I think that's going to be our layout of this particular card. And we're going to bring in some flowers as well. And I've also got the With Love sentiment edge as well that I'm going to bring in. And we're going to stamp on here with one of the smudge sentiments. So let's think about how we want to put this together and sort of what the layers are going to be. I think because we're going to have this border here, I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually put this frame on the embossed background flat, and then the border can sit flat on top, and then I can raise the square up on top of it, and then we won't have any kind of bumpy bits. Obviously you can think about it with your layers of tape, but I think that's what we're going to do. So let's crack on. And we're going to have this in here like that. So we just pop a little bit of the Sentimentally Yours PVA around. And you will find all the products that I'm using in stock on my website, which is there, juliawattscrafts.co.uk. I do only ship to UK addresses. If there's anything I've run out of, or if you prefer, you can also shop at Phil's website, which is honeypotcrafts.co.uk, and he does actually ship worldwide. I think you need to just email the store and they'll tell you how much shipping is going to be. But our US customers, do watch out, because there is something happening in the USA at some point, I believe. Okay, let's get rid of that so you can see what we're doing. Okay, so we've got that there, like so. And then we're going to add our border so we can trim it off at the edge. I have got also, this is another of the debossed double stitched squares in the Olive Grove. You can see that beautiful kind of dot dash kind of detail around the edge, really lovely. And as you can see from here on the inside, if you're cutting a frame, you'll get it on the inside and the outside. I've cut the outside of this with a guillotine, so that's why it's not got the stitched edge. But you know, Phil's put stitching or faux stitching around there in white as well, so it all kind of matches. So that's going to go on there. So I need to decide where my border is going to be. Do I want to go right the way to the edge or not? I think I'm just going to go to the edge of this actually. So we'll glue that down first, and we'll have a little bit left over, so we will be frugal. How far do we need to go? I know that's upside down. To about there. I tend to kind of scrub with the glue, so I know that I'm not having too much glue coming out. Like I say, it is 250 GSM. Now the cardstock from Sentimentally Yours is 270 GSM, so you can see that it's almost as heavy as the cardstock. So it's a really good quality. See if I can get this straight. I'm going to lift that up to see. Obviously we're not dealing with a straight edge on the other side yet. Press, and we'll let that set down for a minute. So while we're waiting, let's clean up that mess. Let's stick a few bits and pieces together, and we can do some stamping as well. So we'll put this into our stamping platform. And we're going to stamp one of the smudge sentiments. Now look at your text, because your text tells you which way up it's going to be. And just grab my smudge sentiments. Not many of these left. I do have a few. I really like these. Obviously you can use whatever sentiments you want to fit. I think we're going to go for, I mean these will all fit obviously. And let's go for birthday wishes. I quite like birthday wishes instead of happy birthday. You don't have to use a stamping platform if you don't want to. Stamping platforms just take away the guesswork. And I think we're going to stamp it with, we're going to stamp it with Shady Lane, Versifying Clair. In fact, let's pop this underneath my MDF so that it stays for that. Yeah, Shady Lane, Versifying Clair, because I think that's going to go nicely with the Olive Grove card. Move that out of the way a minute. Nice juicy ink pads. You will find all the Versifying Clairs in stock on my website, and the re-inkers as well, which is fab to have, except for Nocturne. I've missed out on the Nocturne re-inkers. They're very hard to get hold of. Oh, I think my magnet might be a bit high. I'm going to give it another go because that's a little bit light. That's better. Much better. With my birthday wishes. Put that to one side. We'll stick together our sentiment edge. So I've taken the With Love, and this is the, I think it's the larger one of the two. Yes, I've used the large one of the two. You get two different sizes, and you've got your shadow and your intricate with each one. Obviously, if you don't want to use the shadow, you can absolutely just use that. You don't need to use the shadow as well if you don't want to. And you can trim this border down to whatever size you want to. This is just over 8 inches long, so it's great for your DL cards, your A5 cards, gatefolds, all that sort of thing. And we're dealing with this one, we're dealing with 7. So I think the actual card itself is 7.5 inches square. So you can pop that onto an 8x8 or trim down the 8x8, whatever you want really. So let's do the glue on this. I'm going to scribble some glue. And just dip in. I'm going to just do a little bit just around the edge here. So the scribble's really just for the detail. Tweezers, what did I do with them? There we are. No, it's not. Oh, there we are. I knew I had them. So we're going to just press that into the glue. And we're just going to line that up over the width. There we go. And we'll leave that to just dry a little bit before we do anything else. I think with the flowers, what we're going to do is, these are the Darling flowers, and the flowers from the Pretty Petals they've all got an open and a solid. So that's an open and that's a solid. So the idea is that if you want to use them together, you don't have to, you can use them completely separate. So the idea is that the open will fit perfectly on the solid like that. Makes a really nice flower. This paper is from, again, from the Rose Garden. It's one of the plain papers. But what we could do is we could skewiff it a little bit, because these are even petals. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 petal flower. So we could offset it slightly and make our flower look like that. So I think on this one, just to be a little bit different, that's what we'll do. I know I haven't cleaned up my glue yet, so I might use it again in a second. I should have done that in the centre of that one, but that's fine. There we go. See if we can get that evenish. That's evenish. We'll do the other two. I've just got 3 flowers. I've got a heart here. This is what I'm going to dip in the glue in a second. That's the cascading hearts, which have been very, very popular. As I record this, I've managed to get some more stock, but I've only got a couple left because they've already started flying out again. The texture dyes, and particularly the cascading ones, are super popular. And I'm not surprised. They're so useful because you can just tear off bits and just use sections of them. Let's do this one. Not so easy to get it equal. There we go. And we'll stick a pearl on there in a second. So let's go back to what we've got under here. Scissors. So looking on the back, lining that up. Look at where you're going. And we've got a tiny little bit left over. We might be able to use that. I'm not going to throw it away. There's our front. Make sure your treble clef's up the right way, and that shows that your music's up the right way. So what I thought what we'd do is, we're going to have that there, and I thought we'd bring the hearts perhaps around it, maybe. So that was going to go on there, and that's going to go on there. And then that will go on there, like so. That's the idea. Some of the hearts will be a bit floaty, I think. I quite like that. Let's add a bit more scribble. I think that's probably nearly dry now. Now I have cut the cascading hearts out of that same pink background paper from the Rose Garden, and it was more difficult to get out of the die than the cardstock is. The cardstock comes out really easily. I've cut it out of pure white before and it's been absolutely fine, but it was a little bit more difficult. You just take your time and it will come out. Although if you do find it's tight, you can run it through with some wax paper. You can either just lubricate your die by just cutting with the wax paper, or you can run the card and the wax paper through together, and that will mean that it'll come out easily. It's very, very intricate die, as are all the textures really. Okay, so I'll pop that down there like so. Now we can clean up. A lot of the time it's just about getting to know your die and what you need to do to make that die work, and what it needs. You know, don't run them through your machine at an angle rather than straight on, so that the rollers don't have too much work to do. Especially if you're doing the big dies, the rectangles and squares, those sort of dies. Just and I'm using the Go Power an emboss machine from Culture Creations. So but you can go through on anything really. Let's have actually a little bit of green around the edges. Remember that, be careful, this is wet. Shouldn't really be having my fingers on the sentiment. Hey ho, I've done it now. So let's pop this on here first. And give that a little bit of 1mm foam tape, I think. This is Woodware foam tape. Again, you'll find that on my website. Everything I'm using is available on my website. If it isn't, just click on the email with it when available button. As I said, I only ship to UK addresses, so apologies if you're outside the UK. You should find everything at Honeypot Crafts as well. And let's see if we can get that square even on there. I don't mind if it's up slightly, but I want the edges to be, hopefully that's fine. Yeah, it looks good to me. And we'll pop this one on as well, again with a little bit of 1mm tape. Very simple. It's very easy to create brilliant cards using the creative packs. And if you are on Facebook, you can ask to join the Crafting with Phil Martin and Sentimentally Yours Facebook group, and you will see loads of inspiration on there, and lots of members are already sharing their makes using these creative packs, and they are just absolutely stunning, absolutely stunning. So we do it that again. We'll have another little bit of 1mm tape on here. Once again, that card I've used is called Olive Grove. It works really well with craft cards as well. Sentimentally Yours do a fantastic craft card. Unfortunately, I can't find my craft card to use, so that's why I'm tending to use Olive Grove, because I can't find it. Need a little bit more tape. But always put some across the middle so you don't get a saggy middle. We all have problems with saggy middles, but not on your cards. If you're frightened about putting down a card that's got foam tape on it, just add a little bit of PVA to the foam tape, and then you've got what they call a little bit of wiggle room, so you can move it around a little bit. You can also use the mounting cushion from Creative Expressions, and that gives you that's very forgiving. That you're able to lift that up. It is a little bit more expensive. It's coming together, isn't it? Once you put your layers on. And our back layer is our 7.5-inch square pure white. So that's going to go on there as well. So more foam tape. Apologies, you can always fast forward this bit if you don't like watching me put foam tape on. Obviously, I could have done all this ahead of time. Sometimes when I do this ahead of time, I realise that, no, I shouldn't have done that because I need to do something else. You know, I want to stamp on it or something. So it's always safer for me to not do it. Use your tweezers if you haven't got any nails. So now we've got our back piece on. And if you're not into flowers, you can just stop here. Keeping that straight. Here's where we're at so far. Really pretty. So we've got our With Love sentiment. See, that's what I forgot about. I wanted to nip that off, didn't I? I always forget something. I think we're going to have it here. Like that. I can get my scissors under there. I'll be all right. Okay. Get carried away. So because that you're on your shadow, we can actually just pop the glue on, and there's plenty of space for the glue to go on here. You can also get the fine tip glue applicators as well, but this is actually quite easy just to use from the glue direct. I always tend to put my lid on. I have very few problems with blockages because I put my lid on straight away, I reckon. That's why. So we're going to just put it along the top. Let's see, let's have it evenish. Along the top there. And we'll snip that off in a minute when that's secured. And we're going to do our flowers now. You're just going to pop a little pearl in the centre. I don't think I'm going to shape these. I think I'm just going to leave them flat, actually. You could kind of manipulate them a little bit if you wanted to, but I think I'm just going to leave them flat. I think these are called Pink Shimmer. They've got a lovely, beautiful iridescent shimmer to them. See if I can show you. They look almost white, don't they, when I hold them up? But you can see in the pot, they're a very beautiful pale pink. So we've got, yeah, we've got 3, 5 and 8mm in this pot. And we're going to use our pearl pickup tools. Manipulate them a little bit. Mine are very grubby now, but they still work. They're still absolutely fine. Pop one in the centre. And we'll have another 8 in the centre of this one. I think we'll go for a 5 in the centre of the other one. There's a 5, there's a 5. Pretty, really pretty. That's just 3, there we go. Okay, so there's our pearls. I've also got some leaves as well, which we're going to use. We're going to use the Lovely Leaves set. Where's it? Where have they gone? There they are. And I've cut these out of the sort of equivalent to the pale pink plain paper that's in the pack. And you get, with these, I'll show you. Let me just grab that. you get a right and a left of a 1 frond, if you like, 1 leaf, 2 leaf and 3 leaf sets. And again, you've got an open and a solid petal, or not petal, leaf. So again, you can stack them up just like the flowers, but here we're just using the solid ones. Let's get in there. It might not be as neat as I'd have liked it. It won't be with those scissors. Let's use the tiny ones. Let's see if we can do this neatly. Forgive me if it's not neat. It's not neat. Let's see if we can get that neater. Come on. Okay, it's not too bad. Not too bad. So the ideal is, before you put it onto the back layer, do this. Sort it out. There we go. Don't need to keep that. I definitely don't want that. I might have a flower over there. Gluey bits everywhere. Get off. Not too bad. Really. Right. So with the flowers, we're going to have 2 up here. So I've got a dirty mark there, so I need to cover that up. So we're going to have a couple of flowers up there like that. And then we're going to have a flower down here as well. That's how we're going to have them. And then we're going to tuck some leaves in as well. Okay, so I think we might need the leaves first. Now when I've cut the leaves out, I've actually been very frugal with my paper, and I haven't cut the whole stem. So this, I haven't chopped it down. This is how it's come out. So think about that. Think about whether you want the whole stem or not, because your paper's going to go further if you don't use the whole stem. Because we're going, I could actually raise them actually, couldn't I? Let's do that. Let's raise them a tiny bit. So we can put a tiny bit of foam tape on the back. This is where those little foam squares come in handy that we never use anymore, because we always use tape. This is the 2. So if I raise them, then it means that I'll be able to just pop my leaves underneath. And if you've shaped your flowers, you can do that anyway. But if you don't shape them, obviously they're going on flat, so you can't get underneath. Put a little bit underneath this one here. Make sure my pearl hasn't moved. I'm not very happy about that there, that I've made a mess of, but maybe my leaf will cover that up. It might do. There's always a way around it. I'm very much for doing these things kind of in the moment, rather than having one all prepped and then doing exactly the same thing. I like to learn from my mistakes in front of you. That's a bit high. That's because it's on there. Ah, come here. Pearls come off. A bit high because it was sat on the actual topper, which is already 1 millimetre up, so we'll pop that there like that, and it's not so high. So let's tuck our leaves in. I am going to go for a little bit of glue on the leaf itself. Got a bit of a string. There we go. Let's have, I don't want the stem. There we go. There's the other 3, there's the other 3, and this is going this way. we tuck that under. This is always the faffy bit. Always the faffy bit. Tuck it under there. I don't want it over the petal, I want it under the petal. So we can go for perhaps a 2 over here, maybe. Don't want too many leaves. We want the 2s over here. Faff, 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 faff. Well, that looks all right there. That'll hide that bit. Yay. I do tend to cut more leaves than I need, and then you can faff to your heart's content then. I think we'll have another 2. Oh, it looked like. Maybe we'll have a 1. Let's have a look. Yeah, let's have a 1. It's very handy having a camera right next to me so I can see what I'm doing. It's like we used to have with the overheads with the Create and Craft, or Chanda as it was. I think I do want some more leaves over here, but I don't know where. How does that look? If this was a Facebook Live, we'd have... No, Julia, don't put that there. Or yes, Julia. Yeah, let's put that there. Then I might stop faffing. I might not. Let me have a look. Actually, yes, I'm happy with that. I think we're done. I think we'll keep those leaves for another project. So I've got plenty of that backing paper left. I've got plenty of my rose garden left, so I know I can make another card. So there we go. We're all done. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've got some inspiration from that, some ideas that you'll be able to use with yours. Remember that there's quite a few square designs in there that you can actually cut the centre out of, and you can change the inside of it like I've done here with lots of different other toppers that are in there and other elements that are in there. So, and the other video that we had is this one. So do look on my YouTube channel and you'll find the video on this card as well. So once again, you'll find all the products on my website, juliewattscrafts.co.uk, for UK addresses. Do follow my YouTube channel, and it'd be lovely if you would like and subscribe. We like that. Do it that way around, so that would be absolutely fantastic. Leave a lovely comment. I like that too. And on Facebook, you'll find me here at Julia Watts Crafts. So once again, thank you for watching. Bye bye.